The kettle screamed before I realized it was boiling. 5 weeks of silence had trained me to see sound instead of hear it. The tremor in the countertop, the vibration in the air. When my hearing returned, it came like a ghost, faint, uneven, whispering at the edges of perception. I didn't tell her. I should have. But something in me hesitated. That morning, I sat at the kitchen table, watching steam curl into the air like smoke from a slow-burning fire. She was on the phone, back turned, voice hushed. I shouldn't have understood, but I did. "No, Mom, he still can't hear. It's easier this way. I can think, breathe." I felt something in my chest twist, not pain, not surprise, something colder. "Yes, I know it's awful to say, but you didn't live with him before. He watches. He listens. Every word feels like it has weight." A pause. Then, softer, "And no, he doesn't suspect. He can't." The words hung there, delicate as glass. I stared at her reflection in the kitchen window, her lips moving, her eyes lowered, her smile small and private. For 5 weeks I had lived in silence. Now I wished I could go back. That night, she leaned against me in bed, scrolling through her phone, the glow painting her face a quiet blue. I counted her breaths. I used to find comfort in their rhythm. Now I listened for lies between them. Her messages flashed on the screen too quickly for me to read, but her expression shifted. Small smirks, faint flushes of guilt disguised as distraction. Before, I would have asked. Now, I only observed. She spoke to me slowly these days, over-enunciating, as if I were fragile, as if the silence had dulled more than my hearing. "You okay?" she mouthed. I nodded, watched her lips form the words, "love you." I didn't answer. There's a peculiar clarity in pretending ignorance. You start noticing what people do when they think you aren't watching. Her phone vibrated once more. She turned away, typing fast. I caught one word before she locked the screen. Tomorrow. Tomorrow. It was enough. The rest of the night I lay awake listening to the quiet. Her shallow breathing, the faint hum of the fridge downstairs, the sound of a world that had turned against me without raising its voice. Over the next week, I built a ritual. Silence by day, observation by night. When she left for work, I checked her drawers. Not for love letters, those are too poetic for real betrayal, but for traces of carelessness, receipts, photos, passwords scrawled on scraps. Nothing at first. Then, something. A message thread buried deep in her phone. A name I didn't recognize. Evan. Their conversations were careful, clinical, but there was tone between the words. "You make me feel seen again. He doesn't understand me anymore. Soon, I promise, soon." I copied every message, every timestamp. I told myself I was gathering truth, not vengeance. But truth is never enough once love has curdled. I bought a small audio recorder, ironic maybe, for someone who had only just begun to hear again. I planted it beneath the couch cushions, in the car, near the side of the bed she favored when she called her friends. At night, I'd play them back through headphones, her voice hissing against my skull. "He's sweet, but I just can't go back to how it was. When he looks at me, I feel like I'm disappearing. Disappearing." Funny, I'd been gone 5 weeks and she hadn't noticed until it made her life easier. Still, I said nothing. Not yet. I wanted her to believe she was safe, that I was deaf, docile, harmless. I wanted the lie to ripen before I picked it clean. 2 Fridays later, she left early, claiming a late client. I followed. The restaurant was dim, tucked behind a row of offices. Through the window I saw them, her hand over his, the tilt of her head, the kind of laugh I hadn't heard from her in months. I didn't go in. I just watched, listened, memorized. When she came home, I was in the kitchen. The same table, the same kettle screaming in the background. I poured her a cup of tea. She smiled, relieved, rehearsed. "How was your day?" I looked at her for a long time, then placed her phone on the table, screen unlocked, the photo of them together glowing faintly, her face drained. "How did—" I heard. Just that. 2 words. Quiet, controlled. The silence that followed was the loudest thing I'd ever heard. She stammered something about confusion, about friendship, about mistakes that didn't mean anything. But I stayed still. "When?" I asked. Her voice cracked. When you couldn't hear. I didn't mean for it to." I nodded. "It's easier that way, isn't it, when I can't listen?" Her mouth opened, closed. She understood. I slid a small recorder across the table, the one from under the couch, pressed play. Her voice filled the room, ghostly, unmistakable. The confession to her mother, the promises to Evan, the sighs. She covered her mouth. I watched her collapse in on herself, small and desperate. "Please, I know." I stood, turned off the kettle. The steam hissed like applause. I didn't yell, didn't cry. There's a purity in silence, a precision violence can't touch. I left her there, trembling beside her own voice, her own words echoing back at her. The house feels different now, lighter somehow. I can hear everything again, the hum of the heater, the whisper of rain against glass, my own pulse steady in my ears. People say betrayal sounds like breaking glass. They're wrong. It sounds like truth finally spoken aloud. She's still here, for now. We move through rooms like ghosts avoiding mirrors. She doesn't speak much. I don't either. I don't need to. Silence has become my ally again. Only this time, I choose it. When she looks at me, there's something new in her eyes. Fear, maybe? Or recognition. I sip my tea, taste the bitterness, and think of how easy it is to lose someone without them ever leaving. 5 weeks of silence taught me how to listen. Now, I'll never stop hearing.